Okay, welcome back to members of 121 Community Church in Grapevine, Texas, in our ongoing study in Phenomenology and the Theological Turn by JANICAUD. We're going to look at the latter portion of the essay by Jean-Luc Marion on saturated phenomena, pages 176 to 217. We'll take a look at block 3. That'll conclude the lecture, and then I'm going to give you those summary notes again that I gave you in the last lecture. So now we're going to take a look at saturated phenomena and constituting the self, block 3 of the Marion essay. And he says that saturated phenomena will shy away from analogy of experience, but there must be a demonstration of connection to perception, and relational connection is produced through concepts in time, by using concepts that connect, either concepts of substance or concepts of causality. So interrelatedness. Note 2, we must create a unified manifold sign model. Unity of experience arises from perception. Phenomenon always appears in a system of coordinates. Initially, phenomena are not perceived according to relational analogy, because they lack being inscribed. They have a lack in that logic, in the area of logic. So under inscribing perceptions, we are to lead the phenomenon back to analogy of perception. Phenomenal event occurs when a phenomenon is unique in its appearance, in other words, saturated and unique. These are called pure events. And we take those individually and in their collective dimension also. But unity is always achieved through analogy. So under unity through analogy, analogy equals the equality of two qualitative relations, says Marion. There is analogy of poor phenomena that have that lack of logic, and saturated phenomena that are pure events, through the use of regulative principles and subjective understanding. So under this work of subjective understanding, any absolute phenomenon is untied from any analogy. But no appearance can dawn without a horizon. Every phenomenon actualizes at least a portion of horizon. Horizon is defined through the movement of limit. Saturated phenomena operate in several horizons all at once. They are distributed over the entire system of coordinates, over several horizons. They are beyond modality. Note 6. Saturated phenomena are beyond modality. Modality is that relation between object and power of knowing, which creates the possibility of being and creates real actuality. So under real being, a phenomenon reaches real being when it reaches agreement with experience, through the constituting self, through the reduction of the self, through those 4 moments of measure. Initially, the self experiences disagreement regarding saturated phenomena because they are exceptional by excess. The constituting process is temporarily suspended. So under Note 8, saturated phenomena cannot be reduced to conditions of experience. It imposes impossible experience. The self cannot perceive it as a mere object. It is an overexposure of the normal. So under overexposure, the incommensurable of the visible occurs in saturated phenomena. They represent a pure donation. That creates a phenomenological paradox because saturated phenomena invert the relationship to the self. Now the self will not constitute the phenomenon, but the phenomenon will constitute the self. It inverts the relation. Under inverted relation, the self is constituted by saturated phenomena, not the other way around. It is the always already there as an irreducible phenomenon. Marion says there is a precedence of saturated phenomena. There is a reversal of principles of horizon and constituting self. It is a phenomenon without that shortage, without that reserve. It becomes the possibility of the impossible. It includes conceptual completion already. It is already appearing as real being. It is therefore revelation in its fullest sense. So he concludes by saying saturated phenomena are revelation. They form the sublime idea of unlimitedness with a widened field of application over the entire spectrum of the system of coordinates. And in the return moment, saturated phenomena will constitute the self. Saturated phenomena will constitute the self. But as I promised, what I want to do next, I want to give you those summary comments now. Now that you've got block 1, 2, and 3, these summary notes will make more sense to you. 4 main moments of Marion's processing of phenomena are: 1. Phenomenon is framed as an intuition. 2. Consciousness fills the shortage of logic. 3. Intuition is inscribed with the eidos idea. 4. Return moment takes place of constituting the self. Now I'll read all the subpoints as well. Number 1. Phenomenon is framed as intuition. Through the interplay of intuition and concept, the intellect grounds the phenomenon by rendering it intelligible. Bracketing all presuppositions, the phenomenon is accepted as unconditioned donation. Then consciousness fills the shortage of logic. Phenomenon is intuited within its horizon. It is oriented toward eschatological future. Next, it is measured according to horizon, according to intentionality, according to signification. Donation has been led back into the self. Then, intuition is inscribed with eidos idea. Phenomenon is thought and named as a sign or a concept. We seek equality between intuition and intentionality. Intentionality always exceeds intuition. The self constitutes the object as sign. This is the formation of a cenotaph. This is the formation of a cenotaph, the sign that arises as the intuition fades away. The intuition is inscribed with eidos idea. Then the return moment of constituting the self. Eidos arises out of the glory of desire, but saturated phenomena actually constitute the self. We seek to create a unified manifold sign model as a system of coordinates. Saturated phenomena are distributed over several horizons within this system of coordinates. They already exist as the actual real. They invert the relationship to the self. As revelation, they constitute the self in the return moment. That's going to wrap up Jean-Luc Marion. And we only have one more essay coming up, and we will pick up next time on page 218.